One of the things that is very necessary for high performers, such as entrepreneurs, creatives, and coaches, is that you always be thinking about growth and improvements in the future that are bigger and better than any results that you've gotten in the past. Now, a lot of high performers get paralyzed. They get into freeze mode. They get into procrastination. They'll have an idea for something that's new, better, bigger than they've had in the past, but they find it very, very difficult to take action, to take spiritually aligned action. Now, most people would like to have a bigger and better result in their future, right? They'd like to grow, they'd like to expand, they'd like to contribute. You can talk to anybody and say what you really like to have, right? And if you encourage them then and you give them some time to talk about it, what happens is that they will say, well, I would really like this. And I say, when are you going to take action to actually do this? And then they will say, well, I'll take the action when I feel confident that this is the right thing for me. So I say to them, well, confidence is actually the reward that you get from actually making the breakthrough, from actually growing. You actually don't have the confidence before you make the breakthrough. You have the confidence after you make the breakthrough. Make sense? Then they will say, right. Well, what I really meant is that I will take the action when I have the capability. I then say, well, you do acquire the capability before you get the confidence, but that's the third thing that you get when you decide to make the breakthrough, when you decide to grow. So there's 2 steps, right, that are necessary before you get capability and confidence. The first step that you really get to make, I call it the first C. So there's 4 C's where capability and confidence are the kind of third and the fourth C. But the number 1 C is called commitment. You actually get to commit that you're going to move forward in creating a breakthrough in your life and business, that you're going to grow before you get the capability, before you get the confidence. So right off the bat, if you ask somebody to commit to something where they don't have the capability and the confidence, their response is, well, that's really scary. And I say, yes, exactly, it is scary. So the second C that you get to grow through is courage. Right? Courage is a word that's not used a lot today because people don't like courage. Truly, people admire courage in other people, but they actually don't like the experience themselves. And I always say that the difference between courage and confidence is that confidence feels really good, doesn't it? So when you feel confident, you feel really, really, really good. So that's the opposite of the way that you feel when you're in a state of courage, because courage doesn't feel good at all. It feels pretty awful, as a matter of fact. And the reason why it feels awful is that you've committed yourself, but you don't yet have the proof in terms of capability and in terms of confidence that this is actually going to pay off, that you're actually going to get the breakthrough, that you're going to grow, right? And so when I talk, about high performers with perfectionism, and when I talk with them about this, I say, let's not talk about the future. Let's talk about your past first here, all right? So I want you to pick the situation where you made a tremendous breakthrough, where you grew a lot, okay? And I'm going to have you use this, and it's actually, 4 boxes that I use. So I say, tell me what it was that you committed yourself to before you made the breakthrough, before you grew. When you made the commitment, but you didn't have the capability, You didn't have the confidence yet. Was there a period where you had to grow through when you just had to rely on courage? And they say, oh yeah, absolutely. And I say, okay, so how long was that then? How long was it that you had to rely on that? And so in some cases, they will say, that was like half a year or even longer than that, maybe 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or even longer, that I had to be in a state of courage before the capability and the confidence actually appeared. So I said, okay, well, it's really interesting because it's the combination of making a commitment and growing through a period of courage that actually creates new capability and creates new confidence. There is no other way to create capability and confidence except by committing and then growing through a period of courage, of bravery. And so we talk it through, and it's really wonderful to listen to, this, to actually have high performers with perfectionism talk about their previous breakthroughs and, entrepreneurs and creatives and coaches, when you get them started and looking at their careers, you can see that every time they took a jump in terms of actual results in their business, it actually was a result of them doing a breakthrough. And in every case, they went through this 4-stage process of commitment, courage, capability, and then confidence. Every time, right? From that level of higher confidence, they were then able to commit again to an even bigger breakthrough. And the process repeated itself. So sunflowers and bloomers, right, that I personally, help, who are truly blooming, who continually grow, continually make jumps in their business and in their life in general, have just mastered, right, this 4-stage process. They basically have become more familiar with this process and they expect it. But in every case, though, when they make a new commitment, they get to grow through that period of courage once again. So when you are truly blooming, when you step into that in which you truly are, which is a bloomer, right? A sunflower who shines your light, you're just more familiar with this process. You don't kind of sit around and kind of just ponder upon it. You know that it's actually required with a commitment and courage in order to get capability, and then the kind of confidence that will come as a result of that. So even though that, you might have been blooming in the past, right? And you've expressed yourself big time in the past, right? You've had tremendous capability. When you then do a new thing, when you get a new vision, a new kind of dream, right? When you commit to that new thing and commit to that new breakthrough, you get to grow through a period of courage again. So I find it really strange that a lot of high performers with perfectionism, after they've been blooming for a long time, they will tell you a story about their past, having made a lot of breakthroughs, having grown a lot, and they totally agree that they went through all of these 4 C's to make the breakthrough. But then when you get them talking about their future, they try to design a future where commitment and courage is not going to be required. So I ask you right now, are you trying to design a future for yourself where commitment and courage is not going to be required? And I say, you're not going to have any more breakthroughs then. You're not going to grow then. You're not going to shine your light then. And then you might say, no. I've got things really organized, right? The breakthroughs and the growth, it's just automatically going to happen. And I say, no, they're not. It doesn't matter how many times you root, rise, and bloom. It doesn't matter how skillful you've become. The next thing you're going to do that represents a breakthrough in your life, that represents growth, is going to have to grow through a commitment where you don't yet have the capability and you don't have the confidence, and so you're gonna get to take a risk, right? You're going to get to grow through a period of courage. You don't necessarily have to or kind of like have to force yourself to. You actually get to choose to do so. It requires a conscious choice. What I invite you to do is just to recognize and just totally accept that for the rest of your life and business that you want to create a kind of sense of freedom for yourself, you're going to get the opportunity to grow through these 4 stages. And the most important one that is going to really make the difference, that's going to create the breakthrough and going to create the growth for you, is that willingness to grow through periods of courage. Like Brené Brown says, courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. So when are you going to show up and let yourself be seen? What are you committing to? And how long are you willing to grow through periods of courage before you receive the capability and the confidence? So those are the 4 C's. I invite you to also get on the wait list to join the tribe of sunflowers and bloomers, right? Of high performers who are there to create a life and business of freedom from perfectionism with the power of the subconscious mind. You can go to bloombeyond.com/apply to get on that wait list, right? And it's a 256 members limit and monthly cohort, so there's a waiting time involved in order to get in there, right? And we make sure that those that come in show a sense of commitment, right? To grow beyond perfectionism. That is what we're looking for. So if this speaks to you, then definitely apply and we might see you on the other side. Until then, stay bright, brave, and balanced, and keep on making a commitment, right? Stick with courage, and you will have capability, and you will have confidence.